right, good morning. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some examples of how we have been doing division in our classroom this year. Now, I will admit, especially for those parents helping students, this is different than I learned it. This is different than many of you probably learned it. So please know we are just working to do our best. In the 5th grade, they learn to do it with the standard algorithm. So it does come up, but they're really trying to focus on number sense right now. So for example, if I had this problem, 5 goes into 655. We're going to go pretty simple at first. There are 2 different ways that we might do this. One of our first ways that we were doing this was basically taking as big of chunks as we can out first. So for example, 655, and because we know our tens and our hundreds, because they're pretty straightforward, we think first, is there anything 5 times 10 or 5 times 100 that can get a big chunk out of there? And we look and we say, well, let's see, we know 500. So let's go ahead and take 500 away from here. And I'm going to draw a big line, and I know 5 times what is 500? Oh, it's 100. So I'm going to put 100 over here. Now, I am left with my simple division, or my simple subtraction, 155. Then, as I go, I'm going to look and I'm going to do the same thing again. Well, this is kind of a big number. Maybe that's too hard for me, but I do know 5 goes into 100. So I might say subtract 100. One thing I have to say is it becomes very important to be able to do our multiples at this point. 5 times what equals 100? 20. And then we continue doing our division. 0, 5, 5. And I know that 5 times something is 55. Minus 55 equals 11. Then I'm finished with 0. My last step is to look at these 3 numbers and add them together to get 131. That is my answer. Now, I'm going to show you 2 ways simply just because different ways work for different students. We also at times have done something called the box method. The box method is where I would break down my numbers into place value. So I know 5 is what's going into it, and since 655 is my answer, I'm breaking it down into 650 and 5. 650 and 5. And then I take each step to divide each one. Now, depending on students' comfortable, level of comfort with dividing something like 600 by 5, there are a couple ways you can do it. If it is easier for the student, they can say, well, 5 goes into 600. I know it goes in 500, so I'm going to put 100 up here. And I'm going to take away just like I did. I've got 100 left over, but I can't just leave it hanging out there. I've got to bring it over here to turn it into 150. That's important. I can't just leave it. Well, let's see here. 5 goes into 150. One thing we worked on a lot during the year is knowing that, like, if we go like this, if we cover the 0, well, we go 5 goes into 15 3 times. And then we carry a 0. 5 goes into 5, and there's nothing left over because 5 times 30 is 150, so I don't have to do any of this extra. 5 goes into 5 one time. The last step is to add add these together to get 131. Now, please know that as we are doing this, there is room for growth on this. There is room for flexibility in regards to students may not walk away completely understanding every single portion of this. That is okay. Fourth grade is one of the first times that we see long division, and therefore we just really want to start exposing them, helping them understand, and go from there. I'm going to do one additional video after this to show if there are remainders, and we'll go from there. Thank you.